That's Bill Burr. That's Larry Wilmore.
A little digital extra. Here we go.
We were just having an old men on the couch conversation about super teams.
I know.
Yeah, I don't like them.
You know what you're against?
I hate them. Dude, even like little kids playing on the playground, remember when you'd be choosing up size?
Right.
If it got too much on one side, even as like a second grader, everybody's like, all right, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Let's even this out.
Yeah.
So that whole thing where you jump on it, you're all sitting on a yacht going, hey, how about the three of us all get together? And then you win a championship and you go, oh, we're like Bob Cousy and Jordan and all those guys. It's like, no, you're not. You guys just all joined forces.
Yeah, because there's so few of the really great players now. But what they should do, if they're going to have the players pick their own destinations, just have the players get in a circle and go, all right, I got him. Who you got? All right, I got him.
Yeah.
He's on my team. Just take the owners out of it completely, you know?
When the Celtics won in 2008, it did feel like a little hired gun-ish.
Oh,
you know,
totally.
that when they lost in
was.
2010, 2 years later, like I had a history with KG and Ray, and I felt like those were my guys.
Yeah.
In 2008, it was like it was like going to boarding school for a year, and you make some friends. And
I don't count
8
that
months
as a
later.
legitimate Celtics win either.
I count it. I still don't think I don't count it.
champions, though.
Yeah, don't think I don't count it. I want to talk about comedy and where stuff's going in 2016 because the Outrage era. This is really the Outrage decade now.
Yeah.
And then you have, you know, all the PC stuff and everything. And,
Sure.
and people have had this conversation before about what does this mean for comics, but now you see this election has even put a bigger spotlight on just everything.
Yeah.
What's it like to be a comedian in 2016?
It's the exact same way as it was in 2006 and in 1996. It's a completely exaggerated. They make it seem like you walk into the club and there's people out there with signs and they're throwing
you're in the
stuff
Middle
at
East.
you.
Yeah.
They aren't. It's just completely media manufactured. Like you could literally genetically alter the food. You can create a heroin epidemic. They're not going to bring that up. But if you do a Caitlyn Jenner joke every night for 2 years and one person complains, there's a chance that they'll blow it up. It's basically like lazy journalism. It's an easy story, and you know, and then the people who get offended they're childish people. They're not adults because they'll sit there and they'll let 100 subjects goes by and it's all a joke, and then it gets to their neck of the woods, and then all of a sudden it's a statement, and you're up there like, you know, getting legislation enacted for some sort of law to make their life more miserable, whatever their point is. But it's still, you can say whatever you want. People who go to comedy, they're generally speaking, 99% of them, they're adults. They know that they're seeing a joke, but they shine the light on the one lunatic who loves seals or something, or whatever the hell it is that you do.
Well, everybody hates seals. You're right about that.
I got to close in 15 on those goddamn seals.
Yeah. Well, it used to be you would listen to a comedian to be shocked, you know? Like, I wanted Richard Pryor to say that nigga's crazy. I didn't want him to say that African-American is crazy. You know? I wanted to be shocked, but I wanted my ears to hear something that I wasn't supposed to hear, or, you know, or to hear a point of view that the mainstream isn't saying. There's a lot of outrage porn going on too. Like CNN, they're in such an outrage porn area right now. It's all porn for them, you know, where it is, you know, just the fetish around the outrage is really interesting to me now.
It's performance art for the people who are outraged.
Yeah.
They love it. They love getting lathered up. But at the same time, it has changed how I've watched certain things. Like, I remember I told you this when it happened, when you were on Conan that time, and you did like 2 minutes on Caitlyn Jenner and how you really miss Bruce. You felt like you hadn't said goodbye to him. And it was really funny.
Sure.
And as I was watching, I'm like, it was like watching a little kid, you know, climbing toward an open window. I'm like, oh no, oh be careful, oh, you know.
Yeah,
and I think I'm the one that's
what is
changed,
going to
not
happen?
you.
What exactly?
I don't know.
After all these Facebook and Twitter people flip out, what exactly happens?
Nothing. Well, they move on to the next thing.
Well, you know what got screwed was that Billy Bush got screwed. Totally got screwed.
Yeah.
He's going to interview Trump. Your job is to keep the interviewee in a good mood. Grab him by the pussy. Yeah, grab him by the pussy. You know, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
For all you know, at the end of that interview, when he got off, hey, see you later, Donald. And they went, hey, what was he like? Jesus, that guy was out of his mind. I want to grab pussies. What did you do? I went with it. Grab pussies. And then they make it out like the fact that you can get fired for something that you said in 2005. It's like everybody here, if all your emails and cell phone texts of the last 6 weeks were made public, well, could anybody go to work on Monday? You know what I mean?
Also, it's not like he said it while Al was doing the weather or something, you know?
Right.
Like he's on the air.
Yeah.
But he's like, well, I thought this was the third hour of the Today Show. I can't say grab him by the pussy. I'm sorry. Pardon me. You know? I mean, it was not even excusing the comment. But what is the expectation is what gets me.
Yeah.
Like Trump says, grab him by the pussy. He's like, hey.
Yeah, that would have been like weird.
Right.
You're just kind of like, all right, dude, if that's what you want to do.
I think the weird thing for Trump, and maybe why Billy Bush went with it,
Yes.
is for Trump, that was his idea of like a joke.
Yeah.
Like Trump doesn't
Well, he went with it because
understand
he was kissing
humor,
his
so
ass.
he's like, yeah, he's like, this is,
He was kissing his ass.
Yeah.
Right.
He's going to interview him, so no matter what he says, you're going to be like, yeah. Right by the pussy.
Great, let's go. Is he mine? Does he go?
And he just walks away like, what was that? I don't know. Who do we got next? Hey, Bob Barker. All right.
Although I don't believe that Billy Bush had that attitude because then he's like saying, hey, he.
That is the word.
Yeah.
The anti-Billy Bush case is like, it seemed like he was setting him up with.
Yeah.
The,
Can I tell you
Exactly.
something? To sit there and listen to a soundbite of somebody from 11 years ago, an 8 clip, and be like, that's who they are. Human beings are way more complex than some tweet you sent in 2010. Like, I'm sure, I bet he does. I bet his neighbors love him. You know, he probably loans them sugar, whatever the fuck you do in a neighborhood, right? I bet he has got a lot of nice attributes.
Yeah.
But it's this one thing. Now he's the grab him by the pussy guy, and he can't interview Chuck Yeager, whatever they do.
Yes. Well, the emphasis is so much on feelings right now. You know, that someone's feelings are going to be hurt. Not that you have to, God forbid, think about something.
Right.
You know, so if you do comedy that's thoughtful and provokes thought, you know, if somehow feelings are hurt in the process of that, you know, we're hurt for that. It's like, well, why? Who cares about feelings, you know, at the end of the day? I mean, shouldn't we want to provoke thought with things, you know?
I think the point you make is, because it's weird, it also applies to sports to some degree. Steve Garvey is not a Hall of Famer, partly because all the baseball math people are like, well, his on base, he didn't get on base enough.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't judge people by RBIs because it's better. Runs created, actually. Steve Garvey in the late 70s, his job was just to drive in runners. That's what he was supposed to do. He wasn't up there like, I'm going to milk the count because I want to get to their bullpen faster.
Right.
Nobody told him to do that. So, but by the 1970s standards, Steve Garvey was great. He was probably the best first baseman.
Brought the Padres there, too.
Yeah, he's probably the best first baseman of me growing up.
Yeah.
And now it's like, well, by the models we have now, that doesn't work. And it does feel like, with comedy, I mean, there's some, like, my favorite album of all time for comedy was Eddie Murphy's Delirious. And you listen to the first 10 minutes now, and it's awful. Like, he's, you know, it's
Wow.
as
crowd of
homophobic as you
3,000
get.
people, 5,000 people, everybody laughed, and then
Right.
he gets held to the standard, you know, 15, 20 years later.
Yeah.
When people go, hey, that word makes you feel this way and that one, then everybody collectively gets to go like, oh, and then everybody who said it for the last 20 years but didn't do a stand-up special then gets to look at Eddie and act like they weren't in the crowd or at home watching it on TV. That's what really annoys me. And that's why, you know, I'm sticking up for like a Billy Bush type of guy, because it's just like, if you can actually sit there and act like that you haven't done any of that, that someone couldn't go into your past history and then you wouldn't have a job, then yeah, I guess you could, if you're that kind of a person, like that perfect of a person, you can go back 11 years in your life and there's nothing that if all your shit was recorded, you could get fired.
Yeah, well, are we back to defending Billy Bush?
No, we can move on.
Or am I talking about
Billy's
Steve
got
Garvey?
Staring it that way.
Yes. It's a tough
I
one.
never watch him either. That's
No,
the
but it's
funny
not the
thing.
realm. It's not the realm of comedy that we're talking about in that situation.
True.
You know, there's nothing wrong with if the people that watch the show don't like a person that they're supposed to be watching. And that's what I think NBC is responding to. They got tons of letters or notes from women who said, I don't want to watch this guy because of the way, not only that he laughed, but what he did after he got off the bus. Now, I find nothing wrong with that. I mean, but also it's different than we're talking about somebody doing a comedy set and somebody's material being judged a certain way because it's provocative. I think those are two separate issues.
Has your process changed at all?
I'd agree with that.
Has my what?
Has your process changed at all over the last 2 years? Because I know you're
Absolutely.
thinking about...
I called the president a nigga on stage.
Right.
You know, I mean, I was pilloried for that, and people liked it at the same time, but I didn't do it to be liked. You know, I did it as a
That
thing
had a
to
good
do.
outrage cycle. That was like
It did.
2 days.
It absolutely
You had the
did.
pros, the cons, the backlash to the pros,
Right.
and then just kind of kept going and
About
going and
3
going.
days.
It's
about a
3
3-day
days.
thing.
Yeah.
Because
That's
then
a
they
great
move on to
thing.
the next
Because the
thing.
emotions get on.
Yeah, and then when you just don't respond, it just goes away. And the great thing is, if you exist at my level of the business, like my career is usually the punishment. Like, we're going to send you back to the clubs, and you're going to lose. It's like, I'm
That's
already
the
there.
punishment.
Yeah,
Right,
that's.
yeah.
Then I'm just like, well, that's
That's
already
good.
where I'm at.
Sold out Madison
Yeah.
Square Garden.
Right.
Yeah, but
Come
I
on,
mean,
you're doing well.
yeah. But what I'm saying is that, like, all of that outrage, it doesn't
Yeah.
add up to anything.
Because they're threatening to take something away, like if you have a show or something like that. Is that what you're saying? Like the guardians of the.
Yeah, then they're going to take away your whatever the best thing in your life is. They're going to take that away because then that makes you a better person.
Was that part of the reason you created a Netflix animated series that was set in the 1970s? Because everyone, I mean, that's my favorite part of that show.
That
Is
came-
everybody's so inappropriate.
Well, that came about through telling family stories on stage. And when I was the younger comic for the first half of my career, everybody related and laughed. And then in the second half, when I became the older guy, late 30s into my late 40s, there was just a whole new generation of kids that came up where it was way more involved parenting, understanding what that behavior did, and everything was labeled bullying, mental abuse, physical abuse, all of that type of stuff. So it wasn't that they didn't laugh. I felt more like, that sympathy thing, and I wanted to be like, no, this is funny. And I'd get off stage, and these kids would still come up. I'm saying kids, I mean, they were college-age kids. They would say, oh, my dad was like that, my mother was like that. So I kind of got frustrated, and I just was walking my dog one day. I was like, what if I just animated them?
Yeah.
And it just kind of came about like that.
It's funny because there are different ways you can deliver the same material and get a different response. When I did the Bernie Mac show, I really wanted to talk about some of these issues about parenting, and the theme of the show for me was children are terrorists. I don't negotiate with terrorists, you know. but it came from Bernie's act, where Bernie said, and you couldn't even say the statement. He says, if some kid say something to me, I'm gonna hit him in either the throat or the stomach. The throat or the stomach. He's threatening to hit a child in the throat.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm looking at it and go, this is fantastic, you know? And I'm thinking that's a delivery system for an ideology that the audience accepts because he was Bernie Mac, you know? So then that's how you write your show, you know? That's how you deliver that particular message in that, or an animated. There's a certain thing that you want to say. So sometimes the form allows you, it gives you a little more permission sometimes, you know?
Larry Wilmore, Bill Burr, thank you.
Yeah.
Check out more content on HBO Go and HBO On Demand.